Making fire, one of the first steps in man's march to civilization. Shrouded beneath thick clouds, hidden in the dense foliage of inaccessible highlands, many of the tribes in Papua New Guinea have been sheltered from the relentless demand for faster progress. It may be the only country where the majority of people live closer to the past than the future. Until 1930, most New Guineans didn't know about the rest of the world. The surprise was mutual. The world didn't know about the 1 million people living in the New Guinea highlands. It was the search for riches that took the white man to the island's interior. There he found gold and a primitive culture that had remained unchanged for 10,000 years.
A long time will elapse before he shakes off the shackles of barbarism. But his contact with the environment of the white man must inevitably hasten his progress along the path that leads to civilization.
Missionaries and traders soon followed the prospectors, all offering these so-called heathens a first taste of Western civilization.
In olden days, a glimpse of stockings was looked down as something shocking. Now, heaven knows, anything goes.
Rugged terrain, tropical climate, cannibals and warring tribes slowed the advance of the white man. In fact, first contact with some of the tribes would not come until almost 50 years later. It seems hard to believe, but just a few short years ago, while the rest of us in the world were trying to figure out how to computerize our lives, there were people here in the highlands of Papua New Guinea who still hadn't found a substitute for the stone axe. Now the missionaries are here in airplanes and tools, and they've got the difficult job of completing a crash course in the 20th century. A town hall meeting in Sangapi. There are no roads into this isolated village in the highlands. Western influence is limited. But one of the leaders is telling the tribe they must show the world they are not savages. He says they need a school in Sangapi. As always, the discussions are loud and impassioned. And as they have always done, the women and children sit off to one side and listen. The ancient traditions govern everyday life. Young men, as part of their rite of passage, are still required to cover their heads with a net of woven bark.
The belief is that if he takes this net off, then something terrible will happen to his mother. So until the time of initiation, he's bound to wear this net along with this paint.
So for 3 years, he may never remove that net day or night.
That's right. That's right.
Wallace White, a missionary for the Church of the Nazarene, was the first white man ever to set foot in Sangapi. To get there required a 5-day trek through the jungle. The year was 1964. It wasn't until 1986, when an airstrip was bulldozed in Sangapi, that the people would have regular contact with the outside. White remembers that first meeting between alien cultures.
Actually, we had trouble contacting the people because they were as afraid of us as we were of them. We came over the range and into the first village. It was deserted. Our contact came in the third village, where an old man who didn't hear very well didn't run away. And eventually the men came out, and after several days, finally the women.
But the New Guinea nationals can no longer hide from strangers and their different way of life. Although cow or sweet potatoes continue to be a primary food source, and babies are still carried in bark-woven beeling bags, the wall of isolation around the country has been broken. And ready or not, the 20th century has come barging in. In Sangapi today, airplanes are supplying a village store where clothes and canned foods are sold. The first person here to be caught in the clash between primitive and Western ways was Bilas, a village big man. He got his introduction to civilization in a modern prison. His crime? According to tribal tradition, it was defending his property. According to Western law, it was murder. Bilas said his brother's pigs got into his garden, so he killed his brother's wife. His reason? Gardens are critical to life. The wives are in charge of the pigs. The pigs destroyed the garden. He was extracting compensation. Tribal justice, an eye for an eye. Access to 20th century products may quickly turn primitive tribes into consumers, but how long will it take for them to adopt modern value systems? Would a man kill someone's wife over a pig today? Bila says, yes.